Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into an absolutely chilling historical mystery today: the sudden, unexplained disappearance of the Indus Valley Civilization. We're going to trace their massive rise to immense wealth and power across ancient South Asia, look at the eerie omens that popped up right before their fall, and dive into the perplexing, overnight vanishing of an entire empire. So think about this for a second. What if an entire civilization just vanished? Imagine an unstoppable empire. We're talking bustling cities, complex politics, and a massive population of over 5 million people, utterly and completely disappearing. How does a thriving, advanced society, one that stretched across what is now modern-day India and Pakistan, literally evaporate from the historical record? No. Warning. None at all. Zero preparation. One day, the sun rose on this booming, thriving empire, and the next, the gears of society ground to a complete and total halt. There were no alarms sounded, no mass evacuations recorded in their history, nothing. And honestly, here's the most terrifying part: no survivors. Not a single person remained in these grand urban centers to tell the tale. No stragglers, no refugees writing down the horrors of what went wrong. It's just an incredibly eerie fact that a population of 5 million could have their cities wiped cleanly off the map, leaving absolutely no one behind to speak for them. Just silence. That's literally all that was left. When archaeologists first started excavating major sites like Mohenjo-Daro back in the 1920s, they thought they'd find answers in the dust. But instead, they found streets perfectly intact, yet completely devoid of life. It's like a giant puzzle, and the deeper researchers dig into this ancient cold case, the more mysterious the whole thing becomes. Section 1. The Peak, an unstoppable empire. To really wrap our heads around this mystery, we first got to understand the sheer scale of their dominance. They controlled vast, sprawling lands covering over 1 million square kilometers. They built these massive, complex cities featuring breathtaking architecture, like the famous Great Bath, and incredibly advanced underground sewer systems that honestly rivaled anything else in the ancient world. And they exerted this unimaginable influence, completely dominating trade routes as far away as Mesopotamia. To their rulers and to the everyday people walking those massive brick-paved streets, it really must have felt like their empire was going to last forever. Section 2. Omens, the ignored warnings. But then, something shifted. According to geological records and ice cores, we see this clear escalation. We start at their peak power, that unstoppable dominance we just talked about. But then, strange events kick in. Records show highly unusual weather patterns taking hold, specifically a massive long-term shift in the seasonal monsoons, and that quickly escalated into sudden disasters. We're talking catastrophic, multi-decade droughts that literally dried up vital, life-giving rivers like the Sarasvati. Finally, the timeline just abruptly ends at the disappearance. So actually, it wasn't just one bad day. It was a clear escalating chain of environmental omens that snowballed into sudden, world-ending disasters. The real tragedy here lies in the contrast. Ordinary life just carried on. Markets were still crowded with merchants trading carnelian beads, new brick buildings were continuously rising, and the rulers, they remained supremely confident. They were completely blinded by their arrogant normalcy, totally ignoring the undeniable warnings, the shifting monsoons, and the sudden disasters gathering right outside their city walls. Section 3. The Aftermath. A silent vanishing. Abandoned overnight. Take a second and just picture that. Massive, sprawling urban centers like Harappa, normally filled with the chaotic noise of tens of thousands of people, just suddenly emptied. It was as if everyone simply evaporated into the dark of the night. No packed bags, no panicked mass exodus on the roads, just gone. The evidence they left behind is what turns this into such a chilling cold case. Entire cities completely abandoned, homes left totally untouched, and here is the most inexplicable part: valuable possessions were left perfectly in place. Think about it. If you are fleeing an invading army or running from a slow-moving famine, you'd take your valuables with you, right? But here, intricately carved steatite seals, gold jewelry, precious artifacts, they were all left sitting right on the tables, exactly where their owners had placed them just hours before. Which obviously forces us to ask this completely impossible question: where did everyone go? Seriously, how do you explain a crime scene the size of an empire that is left entirely untouched? What could possibly cause an entire population to leave their homes, their wealth, and their lives behind without a single trace?
Section 4. The Cold Case. Investigating the theories.
Well, since we don't have survivors to tell us what happened, we have to rely on the leading theories proposed by researchers. First up, we have natural disasters, a sudden catastrophic environmental wipeout. Next is the war theory, which was famously proposed by early archaeologists like Sir Mortimer Wheeler. He suggested they were destroyed by an overwhelming, unseen enemy. But remember, the cities weren't burned to the ground, and those valuables weren't looted, which makes traditional warfare a really tough fit here. And then we have the third theory, an unknown catastrophe. The idea that they fled a terrifying danger we simply do not understand yet. When conventional explanations like natural disasters or a big war don't quite fit the evidence, we're kind of forced to look at the unknown. Did they flee a danger we still don't understand? Is the truth behind their disappearance far stranger and perhaps far darker than conventional history suggests?
Section 5. The Final Warning. Modern Parallels.
As archaeologists continue to unearth clues today, they aren't just solving some dusty mystery of the past. Every new answer just reveals another terrifying reality about the mechanics of how societies collapse, the structural vulnerabilities, our own reliance on fragile global supply chains, the ignored climate omens. The evidence strongly suggests that a sudden vanishing like this isn't just a freak anomaly of the ancient world. It's a repeatable cycle. It could absolutely happen again. As leading geoscientist Dr. Livio Giosan noted when studying these ancient collapses, the answer may be more frightening than anyone imagined. It's not just about a shifting river or an invading army. The ultimate truth of how an unstoppable empire goes from peak power to absolute silence overnight, that's something that chills historians to their core. So what warning does their story hold for us today? If an empire that fully believed it was invincible could just vanish overnight, leaving only their possessions behind, what omens might we be ignoring in our own world right now? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.